we'll be fighting them.
And we're at the Fish Bites Trading Post Tackle Shop and the CCA Workbench, Rigs and Techniques. So let's see what kind of rigs and techniques we need for Wahoo tonight.
Well, you
Dave.
know, Wahoo, like everybody's been saying, they're one of the most sought after game fish, you know, offshore game fish in Florida. You know, they're tough to catch. They have, their mouth is just full of razor sharp teeth, very hard, kind of like a beak lined with razors, you know, so it's not conducive to putting a hook in them, you know, and they travel at such speed, and the way they attack is just so lightning fast that you miss a lot. I mean, to catch a lot of Wahoo, you usually miss a lot of Wahoo.
And it's surprising how many you hook and lose.
You lose a lot
because of that mouth structure.
Yes, it's just a rocky place where your seed can find no purchase.
Yeah,
you know, that's what we say. And they like to eat you know, really colorful, fast-moving stuff. So a lot of guys have been using that high-speed trolling type of deal for a while, and you know, where we live, like Tommy was saying, up in the northern part of the state, Central Florida above, you know, starting now, September, October, November, December. The winter months are the time where we catch most of them. Although I've caught a lot of Wahoos in the middle of the summertime. You know, we used to have a thing we'd call the 3 o'clock Wahoo, where we'd get a lot of Wahoo bites on the way trolling in. Actually caught one this year doing that.
Well, and you and I live in the central east region of the state, and we know that those bigger Wahoo come into the reefs and feed on the small kingfish that we get in late July through early August.
And when you're fishing in a kingfish, pile of kingfish, sometimes you'll catch a Wahoo in there with them.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a really good thing to do. Some of the baits that we use when we're trolling are some of these right here, these Savage Matchstick Deep Divers. That's a 9.5 knot plug. It's a high-speed trolling lure. They got those 6X hooks on there so they can really take a whopping, you know, and they're reinforced with a wire construction all the way through there. The 6-inch is like 2 ounces, and the 6 3/4 inch there is like 2 4/5 ounce, which I don't know what that is. It's almost 3 ounces. They have a really nice super glow finish on them, so it attracts a Wahoo because they're really shiny. They like I said, they like those really shiny, you know, lures that are moving quickly. A lot of Mylars and stuff like that. They like that. And if you're lucky enough to be in a spot where you can, you know, you're marking a lot of fish on let's say a hump or a seamount or something, and you know there's a bunch there, you're seeing them skying on baits, which happens quite often with a Wahoo. Yeah. You can throw something like that out there. The Twitch Reaper offshore, you know, has a lot of really erratic action. You're going to put wire on all of these.
Right.
Number 9 or number 10 wire.
And I've even talked to guys who throw a Twitch-style bait like this around a floating object, like a piece of tree or something, and they're looking for dolphin, and all of a sudden, boom, here comes the Wahoo.
Yes, yeah, and that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And when you hook a Wahoo, a lot of times, if you have enough guys on the boat, you got one hooked up, go ahead and have one guy toss out something like that and scooting it across the surface. And a lot of times those Wahoos aren't by themselves, and here comes another guy to come and see what it is. Now, usually what I'll use offshore is pretty much a ballyhoo wire pen rig, again on number 10 wire, number 9 or 10 wire with a number 9 O'Shaughnessy hook, you know, usually 1 or 2 hooks in it. This is the only time that I would ever use a double hook rig.
Yeah, double hook.
Is with with Wahoo, is because you know, we're going to keep that bugger. And
now, are you
we don't care.
A inline guy, or are you a 180 out guy?
I'm an inline guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I want everything to be pretty much the same. I want that one of those hooks to either hit him in the head or on the side of his face or something like that, and pretty much snag him. Now, when you're talking about high speed stuff, you know, you're going to use some trolling weights over here, and you know, you can use just a regular big lure with a double hook rig in it, or you could use an octopus skirt with like 4 big 4-ounce egg weights in it, and then a piece of wire with a double hook rig in it, and that's a great cheap Wahoo killer.
Yeah.
A big purple skirt with 4 egg weights stuffed up inside of it, and a real heavy, you know, this kind of wire, a braided wire rig in it with, you know, double hook rig. Well, and there's trolling really fast at 14 to 18 knots.
And there's a reason for this type of wire on your weight, because a lot of times the Wahoo will actually attack the weight.
He'll come and eat that. Yeah, he'll come and try to eat your weight when you're going along.
So you have to protect it.
Yeah. Now, when we want to try to use some international When you're using the high speed, you want to kind of use an 80 because you're going to put a whole lot of line on there, and just because of the weight and everything, that bigger reel stays on a bent butt rod in the rod holder the whole time. So it's really not moving much. It's pointing out towards the back of the boat. And if you're standing up, going slower, doing most of the stuff I do, the International 50 SW is just as good. Has 2-speed reel. You can stand up. You're not fighting that big 80 and the fish.
What about drag pressures when you're high-speed trolling?
They crank it up there pretty high. I don't do a whole lot of that because I don't like having to just reel all that stuff in. I'm not really fighting the fish. I feel like I'm commercial fishing. So I pretty much prefer to just use a 50 wide. But they crank that drag up there pretty high, depending on what kind of stuff they have out there as far as their main line and their wire leader.
I wish we had more time, Dave, because there's so much to talk about. But the Wahoo, we covered a lot of it. Bree, where are we going to go next?
You covered a ton.